Hey folks, if you are looking for a simple, hearty recipe with a ton of flavor, you have found it. What we're going to cook today is a fall ragu. I had to look up what ragu means. In the northern Italy regions, ragu typically means the use of a minced, chopped, or ground meat cooked with sautéed vegetables in a liquid, which is traditionally tomatoes, but can be other things. This is pretty close to what we're going to prepare today. Here are the ingredients that we're going to need. Vegetables, a meat, some pasta, in this case, gnocchi. We'll start by chopping up our veggies. Isn't that the best looking bell pepper you've ever seen? Frankly, it's the only bell pepper I had. Historically speaking, ragu comes from the French word ragout, R-A-G-O-U-T. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. The term ragu has systematically become synonymous with just a meat sauce. It comes after the Napoleon invasion in 1796 of the Emilia and Romagna region of northern Italy, which had a long history of meat stews going back to the Renaissance period. However, there was little evidence of ragu being paired with pasta up until the 1830s. The first time ragu was recorded was, of course, in the 1830s by a gentleman named Alberto Alvisi, who was the cook for the Cardinal of Imola. That is a territory in the region of Romagna, the Roman Catholic Diocese of Imola, to be exact. The term was later published in the cookbook Ragu del Cardinale, or the Cardinal's Ragu. Forgive me, I do not speak Italian. All I can tell you with certainty is this is simple to make and absolutely delicious. If you're new to cooking, I would invite you to learn some knife skills and take a look at how when I chop, my fingers are angled back so that the blade of the knife, not the sharp part, but the broad part of the knife, can run along my knuckles, but my fingertips are back to where the blade can never actually come in contact with. That will keep you from cutting your fingertips off. This is probably not the most professional way to chop an onion. I'm sure some chefs would laugh at this, but it works for me to chop one in half and then half again, slice it up like I'm doing now, turn it sideways, and then just start chopping. It's fast, it's efficient, it works for me. A large enamel cast iron pan works really well for this. I bought this one at Sam's Club for $50, I think, and it works really, really well for a lot of dishes. First, you go ahead and add in a little bit of olive oil and turn your heat up to medium-high. Go ahead and let your pan heat up for a few minutes, and then we go ahead and add our vegetation. Then go ahead and add a heavy pinch of salt. I prefer kosher salt. Give it a good stir, and then just let it simmer for about 10, maybe 15 minutes. It's important to give it time for all the flavors to blend together. And then next, we're going to add our sausage. In other recipes that are on our channel, we have discouraged the use of Italian sausage as the flavors just don't mend correctly. In this case, use Italian sausage. It adds so much extra flavor to the dish. I can't stress this enough. In this case, make sure that you do use Italian sausage. You can use hot, you can use mild, depending on your tolerance to heat, your preference, but absolutely use Italian sausage for this recipe. It's important to let the sausage brown. Of course, having the lid on it will capture some of the moisture that's trying to escape as steam and cook the meat faster. Now, after the meat has been browned, we get to add the rest of our ingredients, which are 1 can of fire roasted tomatoes. I can't stress that enough. Make sure that you get fire roasted. It adds a lot of extra flavor to the dish. Then we're going to add a tablespoon of Italian seasoning. Pretty basic seasoning. You probably already have it in your pantry. If there was a secret ingredient to this dish, that's it. It's a tablespoon of red pepper flakes. Now, I have used a tablespoon of Zatarain's blackening season. It's a Cajun seasoning that works really well with this dish if for some reason you don't have red pepper flakes. Then we're going to add a couple of cups of chicken broth. Beef broth is fine. Now remember, we are not making a soup here. This is a ragu. It's hearty. It's not a soup. It's technically a sauce. We're going to add another pinch of kosher salt there to taste. Give it a good stir, and we're going to cook this for a little bit just to let all the flavors meddle and mingle together. That's a little bit too high of a boil. You probably have this more on a simmer. We don't want to boil out all of the liquid, just maybe a little bit, but again, it's not a soup. I wished you could smell the aroma of this. Next, we're going to cut up a French baguette. Not necessary, but it adds a nice side item, something to dip the sauce in. And if you're new to cooking, the reason why we cut baguettes on the angle or on the bias like this, it's so that there's more surface area of the inner part of the bread as opposed to just chopping it at a 90-degree angle. Plus, it looks fancier. So I like to serve about 2, maybe 3 slices of bread per person. Yeah, give this another good stir, and the aroma of this dish is absolutely incredible. At the very end, we go ahead and add our gnocchi, however you want to pronounce it. I believe gnocchi is appropriate here. It's just the dried gnocchi that you find with the pasta in the grocery store. If you do have a local Italian market and you can get your hands on fresh gnocchi, it's worth the, it's really not that expensive. It's worth the extra stop and the extra expense. We have one in St. Petersburg, but not Tampa. It's almost worth the drive over the bay just to get the fresh stuff. So the gnocchi only takes a few minutes to cook. You don't want this to be boiling for hours and hours and hours or minutes. Just, 4 or 5 minutes is good on the gnocchi. And now here's the best part. We get to spoon it up, we get to serve it, and eat it. This dish is so simple, easy to make. It's easy enough to make as a midweek meal. I would say this is probably a beginner's recipe. It's really not hard to do, only a handful of ingredients, and it's absolutely delicious. The leftovers are awesome as well. And if you've enjoyed this video, I ask you to please like and subscribe, and leave us a comment while you're at it.